Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 247 of the Mike White's podcast. I'm Jack, as always joined by KC.
Now,
How's things, mate?
yeah, not too bad. Not too. I mean, my whole world's been destroyed and turned upside down, and every fibre of my being yearns for Luke to come back for one more thunder bastard of a goal. But apart from that, yeah, fine.
Yeah, I've as an adult, I don't think that we've sold someone that's made me this sad. And I actually, from a purely emotionless footballing perspective, yeah, fair enough. It's fine. He won't get in the team. He wants to play. He's ever back to move. But God, I miss him already. It's been a couple of days.
It's
When he played the game.
well, did they? I think it was Wednesday morning, wasn't it? When it said he was going for the medical at Middlesbrough.
Yeah, because it came out. It was like a week or so ago, wasn't it? Like it might have even been before we got to January. The interest for Middlesbrough sort of was a thing.
But yeah, so obviously I knew it was coming up, and then I was coaching Wednesday evening, and just before the start of the session was when you sent the goodbye, the first video.
Yeah,
and I just looked and went, I can't watch this. I don't need a group of children to see me crying to start off practice. Like I don't need that. Yeah, bless it. Like every little thing I've seen, whether it's that video where he's looking straight into the camera, the bit before filming when Liam Cooper comes in to say goodbye, gives him a little kiss on the cheek.
Yeah,
but just everything. It's like, Luke.
Yeah,
I want them to have a 2019-2020 team reunion like this summer, and I know it's only 4 years, but I just want them all back. And Barry Douglas, I want them all back.
Well, that's what a lot of people on Twitter have said. That should be Liam Cooper's testimonial.
Just get the promotion team back together.
Yeah, the promotion team versus Leeds.
And
you can stick a few others in there if you want.
I was going to say, at least Liam Cooper has a lot of people to choose from.
Yeah. The promotion team remains the promotion team. That's who plays in that one. Cooper plays 45 minutes for each. But if he wants to, if there's someone from Chesterfield that he really wants there or whatever, yeah, they can come.
Well, I'm assuming that on one of the two teams will be Mario Melchiot.
Yeah, because he does play in everyone's testimonial.
From what I understand, very nice guy. Everyone wants him there. Yeah, it's a great idea. We should get booking this, really.
Yeah. The only problem is, can you actually see Bielsa being willing to come back?
Yes, because it's not about him.
Yeah, I suppose maybe.
That's the angle.
But didn't he really not like it when they did that like testimonial for Maradona that involved the actual Argentina team? They like made him pick Juan Riquelme even though he didn't want to.
But imagine how good Tyler Roberts will be in that testimonial.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll just talk about Ayling until we're done talking about Luke Ayling. So we signed him in August 2016, signed by Gary Monk, although by all accounts he was really signed by Kyle Bartley. Kyle Bartley just said, "Hey, sign this guy, sign this guy. Is this guy your best mate? Yes, but he's also good."
He's good, and I can get you a good price.
And boy, did we!
I did. I don't remember who it was.
You always hear 500,000, but the more you look back at the reporting at the time, it was like 200 grand.
Yeah, and to be honest, if it's just in that bracket of 200 to 500,000, you would be hard pressed in this day and age to find any team that has gotten more value for money out of a player than we have Luke Ayling for that amount of money. Either end of that scale, it's a bargain.
Yeah. Of non-free transfers at the end of contracts, I don't think that you could find a better deal than that.
Mm.
As ended up being, because I mean, I'm not like when we signed him, it was relatively unheralded. Like I was like, oh yeah, I've seen him play for Bristol City, and he's, he seemed all right. But I didn't really think out of it when we signed him.
It wasn't the Poison Dwarf that wanted him out, was it?
I believe it was, yeah. Yeah, I believe Lee wasn't the thing that they played with a back three and wing backs, and he said he can't play in that situation, even though his two best positions would be a wing back on the right and a right centre back in a three.
Well,
he's got sacked a lot, and he got sacked twice this season.
He's been sacked twice this season. What was it? Once from the SPL, and then again, twice this season, all before Christmas.
Yeah, some serious going. And I suppose the timing of him coming in, the start of that 16-17 season under Gary Monk, that is basically the start of the upturn, isn't it? Like that Gary Monk season, I mean, it was 7th that we actually ended up, but we really should have been in the playoffs comfortably. We won like one of the last 6, didn't we, to drop out?
So yeah, for me, obviously this kind of comes in that period where I wasn't watching Leeds as regularly, and this season was kind of
a time difference.
Time difference, a certain level of apathy that made you think I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. to be disappointed. I can disappoint myself from 9 o'clock onwards. And that season was it was a very positive season that was followed by a fairly negative season before it all got good again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think I was going to say you can put a lot of that Gary Monk season though. A lot of it is down to us finally having a defense for the first time in a long time. I mean, it's the only time I've heard like a whole back four in a song at Leeds. Luke Ayling and Berardi, probably Jansen, Carl Bartley. He was good that season, and he was fine under. I'll tell you what I didn't remember about the Christensen season, and it isn't purely this. Obviously, Christensen wasn't great after a while, but I was looking it up earlier, and like obviously Leeds started that season really well. Top after 9 games and stuff, and going quite well. But I'll just say we were still in the playoff positions, and Ayling had been ever present when we faced Nottingham Forest on New Year's Day, which was 0-0. He got injured there, out for the rest of the season, and Leeds won 1 of 17. Now, obviously, it wasn't just because Ayling was injured, but it does paint that he must have been quite important at that point.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the team now. It's like looking at something from a different universe. Tumani Diagoraga's there.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel to me like Luke Murphy and Pontus Jansson were around at the same time.
Yeah. And no amount of it being a fact is going to convince you otherwise.
Yeah, Luke Murphy's also 34.
Yeah.
That's really upsetting.
Okay, so do you know what's more upsetting?
Mm-hmm.
So are you.
I know that, but damn, baby, be cool. Yeah, man. Oh, Christ, I'm only 4 years younger than Pablo Hernandez. I look significantly younger, I would like to say, than Pablo Hernandez.
No, actually, Pablo Hernandez doesn't even look old. It's just his eyes. If you changed the eyes, it'd look 26.
There is, as you look through this team, the core is already there. Like you've got Ayling, Cooper, Stuart Dallas, Pontus is coming on loan. We're still not entirely sure what a Calvin Phillips does, but it's there.
Well, Christensen is number 10 Calvin Phillips, isn't it?
Yeah. Gaetano's there. So yeah, you've kind of got the spine of that team there. And it's just very odd to see it in this Gary Monk iteration, and sort of the fallings out of that. Obviously, like at the end of the season, we were crying out to keep Kyle Bartley around.
Yeah, well, I know it didn't work out that way, but we absolutely sort of should have if we could have. But didn't he basically did so well that he priced himself out of it, didn't he?
Ben Whited himself.
Yeah, he did to a lesser extent, but yeah. And obviously Christensen gets sacked halfway through that, and then we get Hecky, which was an unmitigated disaster. But then we get Bielsa. And Luke Ayling under Marcelo Bielsa was, and I don't think there's many ways around this, barring literally, a couple of dips in form that you're gonna get with players. He was fucking magic.
I mean, I know Bielsa very much stuck to an 11, but like Click, Luke Ayling was just always there.
Yeah.
Didn't
if it was fit, he was playing.
Yeah, there will have been absences in there, but I don't remember as many Luke Ayling absences as you do other players.
Yeah, well, the actual promotion season itself, he didn't play much at the start because he got injured in pre-season, and Stuart Dallas played right back. Other than that, although he did have some injuries, that was like the only time in the Championship. And then was he injured the start of the second Premier League season as well? I think he might have been.
I mean, he's there. He's obviously there on the opening day because he scores the goal at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know he has his. I mean, at that point, that's when everyone's getting injured. Is that second season?
Yeah.
That's when it all falls to bits.
Yeah. The way that I always phrase it, when it's come up in the pub, just remember Archie Gray's a 17-year-old kid now, and he was on the bench in that season.
Yeah. would have beaten Peter Lorimer's record if he'd have played in that game.
Yeah, Ayling under Bielsa, he was just brilliant. Like, he was really good on the ball. Obviously, we dominated possession so much that you didn't see. He does get skinned a bit too much and stuff like that, but you never saw any of that because we were so busy just dominating the game. And at that point, he was still a lot quicker and just a fucking iron will to win games. I've said it a few times, but not for a while because it hasn't come up. I have seen players single-handedly drive teams to a win. You see it happens and you go, that was a hell of a performance. Ayling, I think, is the only right back I've seen do it multiple times. Just like, no, you have just get fucking forward and we're winning this game.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's loads of games where he was good, but I always come back to the 5-4 at Birmingham. And it's weird because he's a defender and we conceded 4 goals in that game. So it's weird for him to be like man of the match. But the second half of that game, he scores the absolute screamer to make it 3-2. Where Patrick Bamford on commentary turns into a 10-year-old and goes, "Oh!"
He just remembered his choir training. That's all.
Yeah, that's an absolute screamer. They get it to 3-3. 4-3. Ayling drives us forward, drives us up the pitch by himself, plays the ball out wide to the left, runs into the box, and he's in the inside left position. Ball pulled back to him into the box, which was probably a poor shot, to be honest, but it's there. Stuart Dallas makes it 4-3. 91st minute, Jutkovic, 4-4. Fuck's sake, we've thrown it away. Who's bombing down the right-hand side to get on the end of Helder Costa's pass and get to the goal line and cross? 95th minute, Luke Ayling. West had an own goal to win it. There's 3 goals in that second half. He scores 1, he creates 2 of them. But just constant will, run forward. No, this is not over. We are going to win this game. He was absolutely phenomenal. And I love that Bamford was on commentary for it. Because, you've got it was so much less of a professional reaction, which made it even better.
I mean, I think for me that the defining Luke Ayling moment will be Swansea. Of just again, just no, we are basically getting promoted today.
It's very similar to that Birmingham goal. No, I'm off we go.
And I think it sticks with me even more because I remember, obviously, one, it was still lockdown. So we were all just at home watching LUTV. So you had Brinlaw screaming into an empty stadium. That little Spanish wanker who we quite liked still at the time, going mad in the stands on his own. And then
and Matthew Jones on Cocons.
Yeah, Matthew Jones. Love Matthew Jones. Always been a big fan of his. But yeah, and obviously you're just seeing everyone pile into this corner, and you can hear, because there's no one there, you could just hear them shouting in jubilation. But then it was the next day seeing him while I was doing a food shop at M&S, limping his way around the shop, and just thinking, and like I went up to him and just said thank you. Like it was amazing, and he was walking the same way I walk at any time after I played a five-a-side. But obviously, he's a professional athlete who's, I'm assuming, has a genuine injury.
Yeah, whereas he just run himself into the floor and probably was carrying about 4 injuries at the time.
Yeah, and so you're just watching this man who, the day before had sort of put in this absolute lung-busting last-minute run that's set up the goal to basically get us it back into the Premier League. And then he's got to go walk around M&S and buy a salad because he'll probably get weighed the next day.
Yeah. You see, I mean, obviously that one probably is it's probably second or third on my Ayling list because although he drove us to that, that's the Pablo moment. Whereas the Birmingham one is the one that I always think of as the Ayling moment.
I think
there's loads you could go for.
Like, I think that's the annoying thing for me is that obviously he scored some absolute worldies, and the one I was there for was against Scum, which obviously, given the result, kind of gets a little bit lost.
Yeah. Well, they scored their second and third within about 5 minutes of us equalising, haven't they?
Yeah, we had hope for all of 120 seconds.
Yeah.
But
it was an unbelievable strike, though.
Yeah. It was brilliant. And then again, for me, just watching sort of like the Huddersfield game at 7 a.m, still in bed, because that's what I had to do to watch Leeds games at that point.
Yeah.
It's I just love that man. It was great. He was the second best shithouser behind Matthias Klick.
They're separate things. Like Klick shithouser is its own thing.
Yeah.
Ayling, I love that in like the tribute videos they put in like 5 or 6 Ayling flops in a row.
Yeah. What's this? I'm facing my own corner flag and someone's barely touched the back of me. Yeah. I best go down.
Yeah. It's one of them where when it's for you, it's clever defending, it's good game management, all of that stuff. Against you, you'd be fuming. But
it's the amount of times you just caught him because he'd always have his arms out in front of him. And there's just a little look up. And it's a step away from just winking at the crowd. We all know, don't we? We all know.
He's just really good at timing it because he doesn't there's only been a couple of times you ever see it not given. Because he doesn't dive, he just waits and backs in and just goes, you are gonna put your hands on me and then I'm gonna go down. And yeah, it's soft as fuck, but we're gonna give it every time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few more great individual bits that we have to talk about. The last game before COVID, the volley against Huddersfield. What a fucking goal. That is like Luke Van Persie Ayling. Obviously not Scum Van Persie, because fuck him, but the one at Arsenal that scored the volley at Charlton. In terms of technique, it's not as far out, but it's a similar thing. Getting up the ball's so high up when he strikes it.
Yeah. I love that technique because it's just it's so unconventional, because you're not quite turning side on for like a bicycle kick or anything like that, but you just seem to your body moves akin to something out of martial arts to get to the ball and generate the power that it does. I think the comparison to that Van Persie goal is absolutely spot on.
Yeah, and he's even got the ponytail out, which I believe is there's a Burley Banksy of that as well, which is great. The sort of two more that I think I'll bring up. One I'll bring up as two together, really. Wolves away, back-to-back seasons, same day of the year.
Back-to-back celebrations.
Yeah, the back-to-back celebrations, pulling out the Robbie Keane twice was pretty great. Obviously, the one in the second one, it's header for a corner, completely unmarked with bouncing ball. But the one in the 3-2 win, the season we stay up. When we've been 2-0 down, it's an unbelievable. That's one of the most I've celebrated a TV goal.
Well, because we were all out for that one, weren't we? We were at Brotherhood for that first game.
Yeah, because we were off out on piss, weren't we, that night? And it was was it a Friday game, then, or was it like one of them weird like Saturday really late kickoffs?
It might have been one of the late Saturdays.
Yeah.
Because I remember, because it's a very rare occasion my girlfriend is there for any Leeds game. It's just not for her.
Yeah.
But the atmosphere, how quickly it turned from, oh my God, we are absolutely getting relegated here. This is dreadful too.
It was a Friday night game, by the way.
Was it a Friday? Okay.
Yeah, I've just checked.
To just the joy of that turnaround.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's obviously your missus doesn't really come to football, and she sort of managed to get it because it was so amazing. But I mean, my sister and my niece were there. I mean, my sister cares a little bit. My niece doesn't care at all, and suddenly she did that day.
Yeah.
Like, it was it gives you. He's obviously over 7.5 seasons at Leeds. He has been consistently overall very good, but he is a moments player. He gave you big like I haven't got a note of it here, but the 3-2 against Millwall, where Barry Douglas plays the second half on one leg, and Douglas crossed for the Ayling header to make it 2-2. Like, he's got so many of them. An underrated one, actually, which is probably last one, because we've done half a podcast here, probably on Luke Ayling, which is much less than he deserves, by the way. He deserves 4 hours. An underrated one. It was just like a bit of a scrappy one in the box. Well, actually, I'm going to choose to believe that it was a pass to him rather than a miss-hit shot. But the left-footed one that he scored, 1-0 home win against Bristol City, against his old club, where he runs over towards like the away fans holding the Leeds badge. That one, it's not the biggest one, it's not the best goal he ever scored, but it seemed like you could tell by the look at his face, he was like, yes, some fucking vindication. You could see he had that thought.
Stick that in your cider.
Yeah. Small.
I mean, the other side of it as well with him was, like, you'd hear some of the interviews he would give post game. There was the Forest away.
Forest one is the famous one when we it was like roughly the Christmas period, and we'd got like 1 point from 4 games or something.
That's the one we
season.
sort of lost it at the end, throwing everyone forward as well. Have we gone
no,
down to 10 men? And
no, that's a different game. That's the year before.
is that the year before?
Because Jack Clark scores the equaliser to make it 1-1 in that, and obviously the promotion season, Clark back in on loan and then back away. This one we just got beat 2-0 and like deservedly so.
Yeah.
And then he came out after a game and just gave like a really honest. He just sounded like a fan. He was like, you could tell he wanted to say, look, we might. There was a bit of him thinking we fucked this, and a bit of him thinking, no, we haven't. There's loads of time.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking at the fixtures from that point of the season. So obviously, from the opening day till the 10th of December, we'd only lost 3 games. Drawn 4, won the rest. So off to a brilliant start. And then from there was the wobble comes in that Cardiff game, the 3-3.
Yeah, where we were 3-0 up and strolling.
Yeah. So from there we go through to the 11th of February, and we only win. So you've basically gone 2 months in that time, and you've only won 2 games. So it's looking precarious at that point. And yeah, I just remember listening to that interview post game where it was, you're just there thinking like, Christ, if we bottled it, have they lost their heads here?
Yeah.
It's quite nice that even in a situation like that, you're not listening to a media trained robotic response to that game. Like you could feel how much it was hurting. Certainly him at that point, and he did seem to be speaking for the dressing room.
Yeah. Well, obviously, he's something like. I'm guessing he probably grew up an Arsenal fan because he was just. I don't know, but he was in the academy and stuff, so maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But you can tell when he talks about Leeds that it's got him, and he gets it.
Mm.
He's Leeds now. And that because was the game after that the 1-1 away at Brentford, where it was 1-1, but they were the ones that looked like they were going to win everything because we were dropping off, and even though it was 1-1, we outplayed them and we were really good. And their goal was a massive goalkeeping mistake as well, if I remember rightly.
No, not at that point for Leeds. I am shocked by this.
And that seemed to get us the confidence back, because that's also the game where wasn't Liam Cooper's kid being born, and they said, no, you don't need to play, and he said, no, I'm going down, and he came flying down afterwards and scored the goal. And
yeah,
because we just had, God, I cannot believe how likable that team was. Just all over. Yeah. But no, Ayling has been just a fucking outstanding servant. And I said, he's going. I'm sad he's gone, but I understand the reasons why, and it's fine. And basically, Farker in the press conference said the same thing. Ayling said, look, I want to go play football. And Farker said, okay.
Yeah.
Because Ayling has earned that right. If he thinks the best thing to do is go play football, and it's Middlesbrough, so he won't have to move house or anything, he can still keep his family settled, and he can just drive up the motorway. If he wants to go, that's out. Good luck. Other than, so long as Middlesbrough don't do better than Leeds, I hope you do as well as possible.
Yeah, I really liked the way Fark answered that question. That his loyalty had earned him to make this choice. I mean, I still think realistically, looking at the way Fark has chosen that team, that even with our major shortage of fullbacks at this point, Gray and Shackleton are still ahead of him in Fark's pecking order.
Yeah, definitely. So, according to Fark, absolutely. And if we're just going off the last sort of 12 to 18 months of form, I can't particularly disagree.
Yeah, it's it's sad, but again, it's the right thing is happening for him. It's the right thing for Leeds. Not that I think having another 6 months of Luke Ayling being around but not involved will be a bad thing, because
I wish he was staying till the end of the season. I think it would have been good to have him till the end of the season.
Like, I don't think he's going to be the sort of player that's going to be dragging others down because he's not involved.
No.
Most of those are out on loan. They'll be back in the summer.
Hopefully FM's realistic, and in the summer, Al Ahly and Al Hilal and Al Ettifaq come in and buy all of them.
Yeah. But, no, you really just want him to do as well as he can and just not beat us.
Yeah, that's basically it. But he's been outstanding servant for us. Will go down. People don't like you saying stuff about players being Leeds legends when they haven't won stuff right at the top level, but very few people have at Leeds. And I definitely,
it's the same at most clubs. I don't think. Yes, when your comparison point is the Revy team, it's a tough one because they were the best of the best.
Yeah. But if you're 37 or younger, you don't remember 92.
Yeah. Like for me and you as fans, the best it got was not winning not getting to the final of the Champions League and finishing third. Like that was the most success we'd seen.
And I've said on here, and I said it at the time it was happening, that promotion team. I said it at the time. I enjoyed watching Bielsa's Leeds in the Championship more than I enjoyed watching us in the Champions League. I loved watching us in the Champions League. It was phenomenal. But I was a kid, and I was 10, and I was just going, "Oh, look at us! We're mixing it with the big boys. This is great." But on an actual, just the football I was watching and how much I was enjoying watching it, I've never enjoyed anything in football. I don't think as much as watching that Bielsa Leeds team.
No, and some of that is to do with time as well. That the English game was. There were a couple of teams in England who played football. It was mostly Arsenal, and then we booted it down the right wing.
Yeah,
is what we did.
Yeah, and it was good and it worked. I really enjoyed that as well. But Luke Ayling is a major part of my favourite Leeds team because it'd be disingenuous for me to say, "Oh, it's the Revy team," because I wasn't alive. I respect them all immensely, but it's never going to be mine because I wasn't there.
It is the Grayson promotion team.
Yeah.
We're talking great, Collins and Watts,
Ozzy and the Straub. So Ayling's last match came on in the 78th minute for Jamie Shackleton in a 3-0 win over Peterborough in the FA Cup, which I guess at the 33.5-minute mark of the podcast, we can now talk a little bit about football.
Yeah, we won 3-0. 2 goals were fine, and Patrick Bamford scored an absolute worldie. So, Saturday.
Yeah, it is weird, isn't it, having like a completely, basically stress-free just win in the FA Cup third round. That's not the sort of thing we do.
It's followed by a home tie.
I know. I mean, they must have just decided, no, we're going to have to give them one here. It's getting ridiculous. They beat the record. That'll do. Like in this game, we were really good early. We pressed them, just won the ball high. Archie Gray missed a really good chance. Bamford missed a really good chance.
They had a few early on, didn't they, of trying to play it out of the back and just completely misreading the pass. Obviously, there's the Archie Gray one's a straight line pass from the keeper.
Yeah,
just doesn't go to anyone. There's another one about 5 minutes before that where it's the ball played ahead of the defenders and there is just no midfielder within about 7 yards of the ball.
Yeah.
And I think it's like Ampadu that just steps up and wins it. I think for the first time in a long time, you can say just like a thoroughly professional cup win from Leeds of just turning up against a lower league side who are going well and just being better than them because we are.
Yeah, that is what it was. Peterborough did just start getting into the game a bit in the first half. They started to find a bit of confidence. Basically, they started being able to get the ball to that Mason Clark on the left wing, who was their standout by a distance. Really, drove at us, gave us some trouble. And then just as they were really starting to get going, free kick crossed in. Weirdly, I think that there was a whistle in the crowd because the whistle went just as Jaden Anthony was about to take the free kick, but I think it had already gone before that. Which sort of did throw off the Peterborough players a bit, but if one team's awake, both teams should be awake. Bamford chests it down. I'd love to say to Ampadu, but I think it was for himself. Ampadu sort of left foot strike into the ground, but scores. Nice to see Ampadu get one because he looked like someone who's never going to score a goal in his life.
I
talked about that on the last podcast, I think.
From the shooting I have seen from that man, I could have put a fiver on never seeing him score a Leeds goal.
Yeah.
And you know what? Having seen his shooting for most of this season, I still could for the rest of his career, to be honest.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if this is it.
I'll tell you what, just to get it out of the way, he also scored a second late on Dan James' corner. Ampadu heads it in, completely unmarked. Leeds at the worst levels of corner defending. There just wasn't any. So early in the second half,
the most ludicrous thing that happened in this game.
Leeds knocking it about in midfield, nothing really. Late back to Ampadu, who plays a very nice long ball up to Bamford because we have a proper lead the line number 9 in the side. He jumps up, takes a really good touch on his chest. The defender, I'd love to say he was 2 yards away anyway, but he slips, which gives Bamford some time. However, Bamford doesn't know he has time because when is he going to get a chance to look? So as the ball's dropping, he just smashes a volley first time from about 25, 30 yards into the top corner and scores like an absolute thunder bastard of a goal. The noise that I made watching it was a bit like that Bamford noise I did earlier in the podcast. It was a bit, oh!
As soon as he started turning, you're just like, he's going to hit this.
Yeah.
This man who are not confident as a former Premier League striker to hit a ball from 12 yards has decided, no, I'm turning and hitting this. Just the contact is fantastic. The technique is brilliant because the ball's fairly close to him as well.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing is amazing, and you just didn't expect any of it at all. Me, you, Willie Nonto, none of us saw it coming.
Archie Gray. Going full Kevin McAllister about it.
I don't know if he's older than Kevin McAllister yet.
No. Well, I mean, he isn't. that film was in the 90s. No, but it's such an amazing goal. Like, legitimately, I don't know if it'll win it, but it'll be on the shortlist for the Puskas Award, you'd think.
Yeah, one thing I quite liked is there was the BBC vote for the goal of the third round, and obviously open vote. So there is a lot of you thinking people just going to vote for their favourite. It was like 81% Patrick Bamford.
Yeah, it
was really nice to see that people just looked and went, no, that's a bit special, is that?
Yeah. By the way, just on the subject of public votes, something I forgot to bring up about Luke Ayling. He won the PFA Fans Player of the Year for the 2019-20 season, which again was a fan vote because he beat Ollie Watkins and Alexander Mitrovic.
Leads that.
And I would say rightly so. But no, it's an unbelievable goal. He played well in the league game. We said he should stay in because it's not like he's had loads of minutes. He continues to be someone who should stay in the side. But just what a goal. It goes into that list. When you think of the great goals you've seen.
Yeah.
It is in that list.
I love there's that angle that's the camera's behind him and slightly off to the side.
The low one from the far end of the pitch.
The fans who clock for what's about to happen. Those people who just get up that second before everyone else has realised. I absolutely love that.
There was one angle that I saw. It's one of the only ones where you can see the Peterborough fans. And to be fair, there's a load of them just going. Just because what else can you do? All you can do is go, oh, fair. Like the Peterborough Twitter account just said 2-0 Leeds. To be fair, it's about as good a goal as you're ever going to see. Patrick Bamford. And that is, you don't get many of them.
The route you go with that is either that's one of it's as good a goal as you'll ever see, or Patrick Bamford shins one over our goalkeeper. You go really petty with it for no reason.
You have to go, oh well, as defender slipped, so it don't really count. But yeah, you don't get many of them where you just there's no anger, there's no nothing. All you can do is just go off. It's a great goal.
Yeah,
you get a couple of them. It's not even one a season. It's one every few seasons where the opposition scores a goal and you just have to go, can't do all about that. And this was one of them. It's an unbelievable goal. And I'm so pleased for Bamford.
Well done him, because I know a lot of players that if they'd have scored that, they'd have gone fucking mental with their celebration afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy he didn't cup his ears.
Yeah. It's way cooler if you don't make a big deal out of it.
It was just like, yeah, that's what I do.
I almost wish you'd have just jogged back to the halfway line. Like not even celebrated, just go, yeah, what were you expecting? That's what I do. I am an England international centre forward.
1950 style, just shaking hands with his teammates as they go past. Like, well done, sir. Well done.
But yeah, it was just an absolute worldie of a goal.
And here's a goal from Patrick of the Bamford family. Yeah. He will go home and play the cello to celebrate.
I don't know if that parody Bamford thing is still going, but I dare say it had a bit of a field day if it is. There's, to be honest, because we've done so long on Alien stuff, I haven't really been thinking about doing the short news, but Darko JB's gone on loan to Plymouth. I'm glad it's a championship club so long as he plays.
Yeah, to be honest, has he really played elsewhere? Like I know, obviously,
he hasn't really had much first team football, and he needs it.
Yeah, that's why I was a little bit surprised that it's to Plymouth. To be honest, I was kind of expecting the League One team to be the one to take a punt on him. But fair play if Plymouth seems to think he could be part of the squad. Yeah,
they have also lost like 2 centimeters already in January. Because that Finn Azaz has got recalled from his loan by Villa and then immediately sold to Middlesbrough. And is that where they've lost someone else as well? And I can't remember right now off the top of my head who it was. But hopefully, because they've lost those players, it'll mean he'll get a real shot. There was one other sort of newsworthy thing other than transfer links out of Farke's press conference, which was Charlie Cresswell. I mean, it sounds. I have absolutely no issues with him being pissed off about not playing. Players should be pissed off about not playing. But by the way Farke was talking, it sounds like he hasn't gone about that in the best way.
Yeah, one of the things in these press conferences when Farke does talk about something, he does appear to be quite blunt about them when he is addressing them. And I think it's to talk about how he plays with his head down at the moment, and he's basically said he's not in the right place.
Well, I mean, it's weird that he said Strauch is still out, Cooper's probably out, Charlie Cresswell will not be playing. Two centre backs out, and it's not even a consideration. Now, he also said that Leeds rate him, we do not want to sell him, but if there were some terms agreed that were agreeable, that it'd probably happen. Now, I'm assuming that means a loan. Because even if he's been disruptive and stuff, he's still a good young player with 4.5 years left on his contract. Or 3. I can't remember if it was a 4 or 5 year deal that he signed in the summer.
And he could do with getting the first team football. And I don't know if at this point he needs to drop down to League One to get a bit of confidence.
He's definitely good enough to play in the Championship. We saw that last year.
I think he probably is. I think I don't know if at this point it's more a confidence thing of one, the amount of football he has played, and two, with where his head is it better for him to go to a decent League One club
And like dominate games?
Yeah. You know, you look online, and obviously you will have seen him more than I have and I know he's not played for us a whole lot, but you've been there when he's played like the West Ham game and things like that.
Yeah.
But you know, in his brief appearances, he's always looked at least solid.
Before all of this stuff came out, I still, even with all of this, I still aren't really sure why we didn't play him against Peterborough.
Yeah.
Like, unless the plan is, no, we're talking it down. We've already agreed a loan, and they didn't want him cup tied. That's really the only thing I can go up with, because even if he has been head down and stuff, to me, it would have been look, this is your chance. Take it. And if you don't...
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that... Because I know he looked a bit shaky at the start of this season, but the flip side to that is we were a team in turmoil the first 5 games this season.
Yeah.
I can understand why players weren't exactly at their best when you were starting the season, and there was now people choosing not to turn up, choosing not to play. People being thrown in, presumably at the last minute in games. So it's probably not the ideal circumstances to be coming in at. The other side to it is, at this point, him needing to understand that he is behind Pascal Struijk, who's been at the club for years and has been a first choice defender pretty much since we got into the Premier League. And Joe Rodon, who is a much more experienced centre back and is playing really well.
Yeah, like that's the thing. That's why I can understand him not play. Obviously, I get being frustrated, but Joe Rodon's been really good, and Cresswell will most of the time. I know they can all play both sides to an extent, but he would be the right centre back option if he was going to be involved. And Joe Rodon's been really good. I understood him being a bit frustrated, like when Rodon was suspended and he played Struijk and Cooper. I can understand him getting frustrated with that, because I wouldn't have done that. I'd have kept a left-right partnership and I'd have played Cresswell. But sometimes managers don't pick you, and you've got to go about it the right way. It's similar to with Cody Drammer. Like, I understand why he was pissed off. I can completely get my head around it, but it sounds like he didn't always go about it in the best way as well. And I actually think that Drammer probably had a better argument than Charlie Cresswell does in terms of the situation he was in and the players ahead of it, because he was not getting a look in when players who weren't playing well were keeping him out of the side. Whereas with Charlie Cresswell, players who are playing well are keeping him out of the side.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens. Like, do you not think Patrick Bamford will have been fucking fuming all year when he wasn't playing? And he's trained hard and got his chance, and then when he's got his chance, he's took it.
Are you saying he should have bleached his hair?
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. Christopher Classen waited, took his chance, kept 2 clean sheets.
Yeah. Back out the side.
We should be watching that Romania team, basically. They should all have bleached hair. But no, I reckon if Leeds can get a centre-back in, alone is probably the best bet. There's been some links to Chris Mepham. I don't know if they're right or not, or whether it's just because, you know, there seems to be a bit of a story with a lot of the players we are linked with, and it just seems to be, you know, are they some good? Do they play for Wales? does seem to be a lot of the media stories. We've been linked. Phil Hayes linked us with Ben Johnson from West Ham, who can play centre back, also can play left back and right back. I think he can play all of them. Not getting a look in, would probably be available for loan, and he's out of contract at the end of the season. One of the players that, like, when we've been just spitballing in the pub, sort of came up as a name because it sort of makes sense. I mean, I'd be up for that as a signing, but I can only see Cresswell going if we get another centre back. But the truth is, if Farke's not going to give him a look in anyway, you may as well send him out on loan. Like, if he's just decided, even when the other centre back's out fit, he's not playing, we're just going to drop Ampadu back, which I assume is what we're going to do on Saturday.
It's and probably the same with Pjelder as well. But at this point, it probably I know it's good for the 21s, but Pjelder is already past that now. Like,
yeah, I must say he's another one where, don't get me wrong, it went fine in the FA Cup, so I'm not calling it digging anyone out for it, but it seems weird to me that he wasn't involved in that squad.
Yeah.
Originally, we were going to talk a bit about that Jesse Marsh interview with Simon Jordan, but the truth is we've both had really busy work weeks and neither one of us had time to listen to it yet. So we may talk about that on a different pod. We probably just won't because the time will have gone by then. But it seemed like basically a lot of people were really fuming with him because he seemed to refuse to take any responsibility whatsoever, which sounds about right. He said that Leeds would have had a better chance of staying up if they wouldn't have sacked him. In hindsight, that's probably right because Gracia and Allardyce were both shit. But I think we'd have had a better chance of staying up if he'd have been sacked before the World Cup. So basically, he comes off, he probably comes off well if you're not a Leeds fan because he's a good talker. But because we paid loads of attention to it, you'll notice every little bit of bullshit he spins. So you'll get annoyed at that.
As a guy I used to coach with in America who went to a seminar by Jesse Marsh recently, and I have so many questions.
Yeah,
I mean, having seen the transcript for from the one a year ago, I have a rough idea how it would have gone, but I can only imagine if you're sat there listening to some of the stuff he says as a Leeds fan, you'd just be there going, I have some questions.
Yeah,
like how did David Beckham get so good at crossing when there was really no need for wingers?
Yeah,
because the goal's in the middle. Where was he putting the ball, Jesse? Where was he putting the ball?
Yeah. So
anyway,
Cardiff away tomorrow at 3:00. I didn't realise what time it was. We'll get through this relatively quickly. They're pretty standard 4-2-3-1 in the same way we are.
They do so much better than I thought they were doing.
Yeah, they're like last few games they won at QPR, got beat by Leicester, which is fair enough. Drew with Plymouth, beat Sheff Wednesday, which is actually a better achievement than you'd think because Wednesday have picked up. Although Sheff Wednesday did batter them 4-0 in the FA Cup, we got beat 3-0 away at Cardiff.
Lost Birmingham.
Oh, wow. Is that like they actually got beat by Rooney's Birmingham?
Yeah,
that's not good. No, but they're ninth in the league. They're doing fairly well. Given their squad, I'd say ninth is about as well as they could be expecting to do.
Yeah, I feel like should I tip them to go down? I will find this. You
as it goes, I have that open in a tab ready for the predictions later, so I can find out.
Oh, okay.
But your bottom three, Casey, were Stoke, QPR, and Rotherham.
Oh, okay. Right, fine.
So no,
Stoke's not looking great either.
No, but yeah, their team, there isn't loads to it. Like, I'm just looking for it, and there's nothing that really jumps out. Like Josh Bowler's a pretty good player. Matt Rubin Colwell's rated pretty highly. Perry and G will probably play right back. Everyone says it's Perry and G, and I always wonder because I'm sure that that. I don't know where his family are from because I'm sure that's pronounced Ang. because there might be giant song called Anna Ann that is
That's-
spelt like that.
It's the way I've heard it on commentary is NG.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely offside commentary, but I'm looking through that squad and there's nothing jumping out and scaring you. I mean, they've still got Aaron Ramsey, but he's only made 6 appearances this season, so unsurprisingly, it looks like he's been struggling with injuries.
They
have got Carlin Grant, and if he's fit, he's a good player. I like Carlin Grant.
Yeah, it's. Sorry, I'm just looking at a picture of Ruben Colwell there wearing a Wales kit, and just assume we'll be signing him soon.
Yeah, definitely. And they've got that Callum Robinson as well, and he's quite a good player, and he's got previous for playing well against us. But I suppose the big thing for us is like, what are we going to look like for this game? Assuming based on what Farker said, I'm going to assume that Cooper isn't going to be fit because that's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
So I think it's whether you think they'll be out different from this. He said 100% Melier will start unless he gets injured or something. So probably Gray at right back, Roden and Ampadu centre backs, Firpo left back, Kamara and Gruev in middle, and then James Wright, some of the left, Rutter behind Bamford.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where.
The argument would be Shackleton plays right back and Gray moves into midfield for probably Gruev.
Yeah. Apologies. Yeah.
I thought Gruev did enough against Peterborough to keep his place, so I'd probably stick with him.
Yeah, I think it was a fairly quiet game for him, but I think a lot of his thing was just recycling possession, wasn't it? It was just picking the ball up deep, give it to someone else. Yeah, he was fine. I'd be fine with that. It was quite nice that Kamara got a break in that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really in terms of the front four, it's whether Peru starts or not.
Yeah, and I don't think he will. I think Bamford will keep his place.
I'd think he should. So you're thinking Somerville, Jorginho, Dan James, Pat Bamford.
Yeah, I'd be surprised unless there's a knock or anything to anyone, I'd be surprised if it's other than that. I think Bamford's done more than enough in the last 2 games to keep his place. I mean, Pirro, although he scored a few goals, the sort of 3 games before he dropped out of the side, he wasn't great at all. So it's fair enough. And having Peru as an option to come on, I'm perfectly happy with him. Bamford is much better as a 90-minute player than he is off the bench. So
I didn't think it worked particularly well, Peru and Bamford on the pitch together during that Peterborough game.
No, I thought Peru was fine in that game, but don't get me wrong, when he's fully on it, he is the best goal scorer we've got. But we aren't seeing that at the minute. So yeah, I'd stick with Bamford. For what it's worth, I have just got a message back off him as well, but Alex has just jumped into the chat to let us know that he's going for a 3-1 win. And Connie has got in touch with me as well. He said 2-0 win. As always lately, Leeds do better when I don't predict a win, so I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
I'm going to go 3-1 win.
3-1 win. I am more than willing to drop a few points and have us keep winning. That works fine for me. But no, we it's one of them. It's the sort of game that we should win. And you just, pretty much with every Leeds game lately, you're just hoping for an early goal. You feel like if we get an early goal, we'll be all right.
Yeah. And again, when I'm
looking at their sort of expected, back 4 and holding mids, and just thinking, if he can get Rutter on the ball, I think he's going to have a field day.
Yeah. Yeah, I would fancy us in this. Like you say, it's just that concerning and get a goal in the first half, and I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Also, I've only just realised who their goalkeeper is. in that Runarsson after his one fleeting appearance for Arsenal, and they thought, "Oh no."
Well, I don't know if he's injured or they just don't normally pick him, but the expected lineup has Jack Anick in goal.
I suppose he's only made 6 appearances, Runarsson, so yeah, potentially.
Yeah, but again, it shouldn't particularly matter. But that will do us for episode 247 of the Mighty Whites podcast. I'm glad that I've given it. When I upload it and everything onto the actual podcast feed, I will keep the simple title of just "Thank you, Luke Ayling" and not talk about anything else that's on the show. Because let's be right, that's the main thing from this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully Ayling does brilliantly, and hopefully he's happy, because that's the main thing that we're hoping for. So I've been Jax here.
I'm in Casey.